Hello there and welcome to today's live. I want to talk a bit about narcissism, what it is, how it's defined in the DSM-5. The DSM stands for Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, and I do have a background in psychology. I got my bachelor's in psychology a few years back, and I've always found like the human journey is something that's interesting. And I think a lot of people that do get into psychology are on their own self-healing journey, right? They want to heal themselves. They want to figure out maybe what's wrong with them. Why don't they feel at home in their body? Why don't they feel at home with me, right? They want to heal themselves. They want to figure out maybe what's wrong with them. Why don't they feel at home in their body? Why don't they feel at home within themselves? And so lately I have been dealing with, both me and my girlfriend have been dealing within themselves. And so lately I have been dealing with, both me and my girlfriend have been dealing with these two narcissists that constantly show up in different ways. And a lot of it is just self-entitlement, thinking they deserve things, thinking that they're the center of attention, right? That they're the main character, that they're the ones being wronged, they're the ones experiencing life and being wronged by it, even though everyone in their lives are telling that they're the center of attention, right? That they're the main character, that they're the ones being wronged, they're the ones experiencing life and being wronged by it, even though everyone in their lives are telling them like, no, you're actually wrong. You're not following all the things that you need to do to help maintain healthy relationships, healthy boundaries. And this is a struggle for a lot of people with narcissistic tendencies. And I know it is kind of like a coined term these days where we almost want to label everybody as narcissistic. But the DSM talks about 9 different categories of narcissism, and I believe 5 of them have to be present for them to be diagnosed with narcissistic tendencies. The first point is grandiosity. Has an exaggerated sense of self-importance, exaggerates achievements and talents, expects to be recognized as superior without commensurate achievements, right? They think they're on top of the world. They think they're amazing. They haven't really done anything. And I know a lot of people in relationships with a narcissist, they're always going to go off about how much they're doing for you, that you owe them something because they're doing all of these things, and that's not the case, right? And this is something I had to learn too, where we're not really explained what love is and what that emotion is. And us as empaths, sometimes we have people-pleasing tendencies, and narcissists will attach to us and want to like stick their energy onto us, because there's this feedback loop that is created where we want to give attention because then we think that attention is going to be returned to us, that love is going to be returned to us, and that's not the case. That's not what comes up, right? We think we have to prove ourselves. We think we have to prove that we deserve to be loved. And that's what a lot of narcissists feed on. They're also going to do something known as love bombing, where they're going to send you a bunch of attention, gifts, presents, affection, and then take it away. Go completely cold, step all the way back, and expect you to return to them. And you're going to want to do that because in your mind, that's what the relationship is. You're receiving all of the love, you're receiving all of those tendencies. And that's not what it should be. If you love a person, you love a person, period. It's not about what they do for you. It's not about what you do for them. It's that you enjoy each other's presence together. The second point is fantasies of unlimited success or power. Is preoccupied with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love. And the people we deal with put themselves into places of power where they can feel powerful. They think they can be on top of the world because of their status, because of their career, because of things that they do. They think the world owes them something because of what they've done, what they've achieved. And they want that, right? There's this sense of, I don't feel powerful, so I want to put myself into a place of power where people have to bow down to me. And they get very irritated when they are not put into that place of power, when they are not put into a place where that power is respected in any type of way. The third one is believes that they are special, and unique and can only be understood by or should be associated with other special or high status people or institutions. They want to put themselves around other powerful people. They want to act like they're important, and they want other people to recognize them as important. And at the end of the day, they're not. They're struggling for power. They want to act like they're important, and they want other people to recognize them as important. And at the end of the day, they're not. They're struggling for power. Fourth one that I have is requires excessive admiration. Has a right? And sometimes some of us need that affection, right? Some of us need that attention. Some of us need that recognition. Someone just to say, you're doing a good job. You're doing amazing. You. The fifth point from the DSM is sense of entitlement. Has a sense of entitlement such as unreasonable expectations of especially favorable treatment for or automatic compliance with their expectations, right? They think their word is law. They think whatever they say is right. They think their opinion and feeling is a fact in this reality. And sure, feelings can be valid. Feelings are valid. But sometimes our own perspective is shifting what we perceive as real and not real. For me, I get triggered easily, so even a sense of tone can trigger me, send me off. I can start thinking and processing, like, did I do something wrong? What did I do wrong? What could I have done wrong? And so they need that. They feed on that. They think when they're like, this is how things should be done, that's the final word. They're not open to discussion. They're not open to seeing other perspectives. And I think the people you're with, if they're open to a discussion, I think that's going to put them in a lot better place. And like I said, with narcissism, a lot of us share these tendencies, right? We're not all narcissists out here, but some of these might resonate with us. And I don't think we're all 100% narcissistic per se. We just need to feel validated. It's just that actual narcissist, according to the DSM-5, will exhibit many of these traits, and it'll send them into a spiral and send us into a spiral, us as empaths, us as healers and spiritual people. Point 6 is that they exploit others. Is interpersonally explorative, taking advantage of others to achieve their own ends. And so I don't know if you've ever noticed this, right? You'll be talking to a narcissist and maybe even having a discussion and talking about things. They will change the topic. They will change it in a way where you start forgetting what you were talking about. You feel like you now have to address this new accusation, this new point that was made out to you, and that's not right. That's not the way it should be, right? Us as empaths need to stay in this state of like super cognition, where we're focusing on like what was the actual topic we wanted to discuss, rein the back in and be like, well, we can cover this afterwards. First, let's talk about what I was talking about, and I want to know XYZ, right? And so something we encounter a lot with narcissists in our day-to-day life is we'll bring up a point of something they did, something they said, look for answers, right? A good technique I've learned to deal with narcissists is don't respond, but ask questions. Think of yourself when you're talking to a narcissist that you're interviewing them, right? Well, why do you think that? What evidence do you have to this? Why is it that made you feel that way, right? It sucks, but we kind of have to turn ourselves into the therapist, right? We don't want to be their therapist, no. We want to be the interviewer. We want to break it down and see if they're willing to talk and communicate about these things. Are they going to be willing to express their emotions and feelings? Or are they going to kind of blow up and gaslight us on XYZ? And like I said, that's what I've noticed. We bring up a point and topic, they will shift it and say, I don't want to talk about this. We are not talking about this, but tell me about this about you. You're the one being the narcissist. You're the one doing XYZ to change the topic when they're the ones that are in the wrong. And the truth is, the more we talk and handle narcissists in our day-to-day life, it does create brain damage in a way, right? Our brain gets wired to thinking we've done something wrong, and they feed on that. They know that. They are manipulative. They understand this in terms of exploitation. So point 7 in the DSM is that they lack empathy, unwilling to recognize or identify with the feelings and needs of others. So it's okay for them to go off and ramble about their emotions, their feelings, the events that they're perceiving. But once you bring your point of view, your perspective into it, no, they're not willing to understand it. They're not willing to put themselves into that place to understand what is happening. They're not willing to see that there is another side to the story, and all stories, there is a flip side of that coin, right? Something we perceive might not be what they perceived, and it could just be a genuine misunderstanding that can be discussed. They don't want to discuss it. They have entitlement, right? They lack the empathy. And when I hear the word empathy, I think of being able to put yourself into someone else's shoes and feel what they're feeling, understand what they're feeling. And some moments that feels easier and some moments that feels difficult. I see myself as an empath because if I see something happen or I hear a story, I feel like I'm thrown into those emotions and into that world. My brain starts simulating it and I start seeing the story that the person is telling me, where a narcissist will just feel like they're being judged, that the other person is wrong. They have to be told, where a narcissist will just feel like they're being judged, that the other person is wrong. They have to be told that they're wrong, or like I said, they will change topic on you immediately. Point 8 is envy. Is often envious of others or believes that others are envious of them. So they'll be jealous, right? They'll be jealous of what others have done. They will walk out of a relationship and then get jealous that that person gets into a relationship with another person. They'll be jealous of things they can't have. And from what I've experienced of narcissists, they objectify things. They do not see people as people, right? They see people as things. They see things as things, and they treat them as such. And point 9 is arrogance. Shows arrogant and very uptight behaviors or attitude, right? And so all of that ties together. Exploiting others, lacking empathy, envious, and arrogant. They think they're at the top of the world. Hey Cherie, how's it going? Oh, every time I say that, Siri...
I'm pretty good, thanks.
Whoop, Siri likes to pop up. No, Siri, no thank you. Sorry, everyone. And so going over those 9 points really quickly again, grandiosity, fantasies of unlimited success or power, believes they are special, requires excessive admiration, sense of entitlement, exploits others, lacks empathy, envy, and arrogance. And so if a person displays 5 of these categories, that puts them under the diagnostics of the narcissistic personality disorder. You're good. How have you been? Let me know if this is resonating with everyone. Let me know your thoughts on it. I'm trying to think of stories to share without getting myself into too much trouble. But it's constantly like back and forth with narcissists here, like constantly hearing that we're doing something wrong, that we're in the wrong, that we're the ones alienating people and XYZ. And it's the other side. I've seen narcissists go and try and turn your own people against you, right? I even had a friend who was dating a narcissist. When they broke up, that person went and messaged all of their friends trying to tell them how awful of a person they are, that they're the ones that had hurt them. How can I still be friends with someone so disgusting and so XYZ? And I'm like, this is dumb. This is my friend. If they had a disagreement with you or falling out with you, I'm not choosing your side. I'm going to pick the side of my friend. And if they want to discuss these topics, they'll reach out to me. I'm not talking to their ex. No worries. Let's see. Next, I want to talk about how to deal with a narcissist, right? We understand now the behaviors that they might depict, behaviors that they might bring up, behaviors that will pull you into them, right? And we want to step away from that. So how do we deflect against a narcissist? How do we protect ourselves energetically, psychically, spiritually? And the first one I have is set and maintain firm boundaries. Be clear and consistent. Narcissists tend to test limits. So you need to clearly define what is acceptable and what isn't in your interactions. Stick to these boundaries consistently. Do not justify, defend, or explain. If they push back or question your boundaries, keep your responses short and firm. Engaging in lengthy explanations can give them an opportunity to manipulate the conversation. And so they will say something that'll get under your skin, and you're wanting to respond. You're wanting to prove them wrong and give them words, and they don't care about that. They care about the reaction. They want the reaction. They want to see you squirm. They want to see you frustrated. And so we want to set and maintain firm boundaries, right? And that is, if there's a topic being brought up, I don't like this topic, this is something I don't want to discuss, or I want to actually discuss this topic. Like, talk about whatever you're feeling. You have to step back, right? And there's a weird way of seeing it, but I see us as like conscious beings playing the role of the human that we're in, right? And we want to take a step back before we respond to anything a narcissist says and kind of analyze what's being said. And we want to keep those responses short, simple, and sweet. And like I said, if you feel like allegations are being brought up against you, don't explain yourself. Ask them questions on, well, why do you think that? Why do you feel that way? What evidence do you have to this? Where is this coming from? Is this your perception of me? Or is this just a misunderstanding? Where is this coming from? Is this your perception of me? Or is this just a misunderstanding? They need to respond. They need to answer those questions. If they're not answering those questions and start bringing up a slew of other things, like you're fighting about not doing laundry, right? And then you ask them about the laundry or whatever, and they're like, oh, but you didn't do the dishes last night and this and that. No, we're not doing that. I want to talk about the laundry. Did you forget? Can we do something to help you remember doing the laundry? Like, we're thinking of ways to find solutions. We're not looking for a fight. We're not looking for an argument, right? What is the problem? What is the solution? And so this is difficult because there's a lot of emotion-based people and a lot of logic-based people. And I see this as sort of like the divine feminine and divine masculine. We have to step back because what narcissists will do, they will say this is sort of like the divine feminine and divine masculine. We have to step back because what narcissists will do, they will say things to pull our emotions out and get that response and energy and reaction that they want. And we want to step back, right? And like I said earlier, I'm going to hammer it in. Don't respond. Don't give them emotions. Don't give them energy. They're going to just feed on that, and that's what they want. My girlfriend's ex would sometimes just get into fights with her just for the reaction, just for the energy, just for the interaction. So they don't care if it's negative or positive interaction, emotions that are coming out. They want to get under your skin and throw you on a loop, right? And that's where we have to step back and say, I'm not dealing with this, no. I'm not going to give in to their calling to get under my skin. And it's very difficult to step back and walk away, right? And an example I'm seeing in my mind, I've never seen the movie Gladiator before, but we started watching it the other night. And there's this one scene where the emperor would burn down this man's entire life and family. I've never seen the movie Gladiator before, but we started watching it the other night. And there's this one scene where the emperor would burn down this man's entire life and family, finds him again in the arena, in a gladiator's arena, and wants to get under his skin, right? And he's like telling him these awful stories about his kids and his wife before they had passed, before everything that had happened. And he wanted that reaction. He wanted him to attack him. But the main character was like, no, I'm going to walk away. I want to face you. I want to fight you. This is not how that's going to go. Me staying alive longer, me winning these battles is going to win. And I think that's how we have to look at it, right? Don't justify, defend, or explain. If they push back or question your boundaries, keep your responses short and firm. This I also want to hammer in. If you do have to respond in some way, keep it short. Keep it to the facts. Keep it to what it is. I want to hammer in. If you do have to respond in some way, keep it short. Keep it to the facts. Keep it to what it is. But they do play a game with the mind, and it is all just a mind game at times where they want to get under your skin. They're going to bring up every interaction that they know can trigger you because they want to trigger you. Don't let them. The second point to kind of defending yourself against narcissists: limit emotional reactions. Stay calm and composed. Narcissists often provoke emotional reactions to maintain control over a situation. If you remain calm and detached, it diminishes their power. Practice emotional detachment. Try to avoid taking their insults, criticisms, or gaslighting personally. Understand that their behavior reflects their own issues, not your worth. And yes, they're going to try and do that. They're going to try and diminish your worth. They're going to try and make you feel like you're the wrong one. And you're not. And exactly that, emotional detachment. And it's hard for us as empaths. How can I sit here and say, don't feel anything, turn it off? And I know it's not a switch in our head, right? But there are techniques and tactics we can do to kind of limit these emotional reactions. And sometimes it could just be taking a moment, being quiet, taking a deep breath in, right? And slowly exhaling. Listening to your breath, listening to your heartbeat. What I used to like to do is pick an element, right? For me, it was always water. Imagine a sphere of water suddenly surrounding you and setting a boundary and pushing any heavy energy out, pushing that person's energy away from you, preventing it from getting under your skin. This is going to be big. This is going to be a big tactic because we want to take a step back, right? We kind of want to be like the Sherlock Holmes of our lives, unfortunately. But it's like, what is it that they're trying to get to? What is it that they're seeking? They're not seeking answers. They're not seeking a resolution. They're seeking an emotional response. They're seeking to emotionally harm and hurt people. They're trying to gain control by dragging out an emotional response. Hey Pickles, how's it going? Next I have is do not feed their ego. Avoid excessive praise. Narcissists thrive on admiration, and constantly giving them validation reinforces their need for attention. Offer neutral responses when appropriate. Do not engage in their need for competition. Many narcissists seek to win in social situations. Avoid playing into this by disengaging from unnecessary comparisons or power struggles. Yep, I'm doing good. Coming up with new ideas for live events. I'm starting to look at like what I'm struggling with in life and trying to come up with tactics that help me, and then thinking about bringing it here to everyone else. So yeah, don't feed their ego. Don't praise them, right? If you've discerned and you've learned that they're a narcissist and you don't want to feed them anymore, you don't want to feed their energy, don't compliment them. Don't give them the energy they're looking for. Be very neutral, be very monotone, right? Still be demure if you must. But they're looking for that. They want you to blow up. They want you to go get upset and yell at them. Which for me is weird because if anyone yells at me, I get sad and want to cry. Us as people pleasers, we don't like being weird because if anyone yells at me, I get sad and want to cry. Us as people pleasers, we don't like being yelled at. We don't like being, we don't even like getting angry. It just feels exhausting. Use assertive communication. Be direct and clear. When addressing issues, use straightforward, assertive communication. Do not allow yourself to be manipulated into long, confusing discussions that go in circles. Use I statements. Express your feelings without blaming them directly. For example, I feel disrespected when I'm interrupted is more effective than you always interrupt me. Don't expect empathy. Keep your expectations realistic. Narcissists struggle to empathize, so you may not receive the emotional validation you hope for. And so going back to the first point, be direct and be clear, right? Be straightforward, be assertive. Don't allow yourself to get manipulated with confusing discussions that go in circles, right? And they love to do this. They love to go in circles. Here's the problem. Here's how I feel about it. Here's what's going on. And then they're going to bring you back to the beginning and want you to talk about it again and again and again. Stay clear and stay focused. What's the problem? What do you see as the solution? Like I said, ask questions, ask clarifying questions. Once you know you've gotten to the end of that discussion and that argument, and they want to bring it back around because they want to wear you down, right? There's kind of like a boxing match in terms of intellect and psychology. We don't want to box them. We don't want to fight them. We don't want this mental battle to continuously rampage on in our mind, and that's where it creates the brain damage, rewiring the networks, because we feel like we constantly have to explain the same things over and over and over again. That's good. I'm glad you got out of that situation. I'm hoping this stuff helps. Feel That's good. I'm glad you got out of that situation. I'm hoping this stuff helps. Feel validated that you've made the right decision. Feel validated. I'm hoping this stuff helps. Feel validated that you've made the right decision. Feel validated in you taking your power back. But yeah, they do that. They talk in these circles and it wears you down to the point where you're like, am I going crazy? So, like I said, these circles and it wears you down to the point where you're like, am I going crazy? So, like I said, take a step back from the conversation, take a big step back, am I going crazy? So, like I said, take a step back from the conversation, take a big step back, take a moment to yourself, focus on what is your objective, right, in a discussion with another. Take a big step back, take a moment to yourself, focus on what is your objective, right, in a discussion with a narcissist. What do you want at the end of the discussion with a narcissist? You want them to understand, right, in a discussion with a narcissist. What do you want at the end of the discussion with a narcissist? You want them to understand a certain point. You want clarification on a certain point. If you reach the end of that conversation in your mind of what you have designed and they're not seeing that point, take a break. Tell them, we'll come back. We need to come back to this another time. Because they want to keep you in that interaction. Because something in that interaction is still feeding them, or they know that you're going to get frustrated if I keep saying, like, I don't understand. Can you... Because something in that interaction is still feeding them, or they know that you're going to get frustrated if I keep saying, like, I don't understand. What are you talking about? Or they'll throw words out like, oh, you're crazy. You're overthinking this, or blaming everyone else. They do not empathize. They do not want to see within. They don't want to put themselves in your shoe and understand. They want you to get mad. They want you to get frustrated. They want you to get emotional. Pickles said, they don't stop once you leave. It gets worse. Block them in every way. Yep. If you can, block them. Block them out of your life. Let them know respectfully if you must, like, this friendship, this relationship, it's no longer working for me. I don't feel safe in this friendship or relationship or whatever, and walk away. What does suck is sometimes there is a relationship. Sometimes there is a child involved. And walking away is harder, and some of these techniques are more difficult. Hey, glad to see you too. I miss everyone here. I miss doing lives. I'm coming up with new ones, new ideas. I'm really excited about this one though. And going back to the point, use I statements. Express your feelings without blaming them directly. For example, I feel disrespected when I'm interrupted. It's more effective than you always interrupt me. And so we want to talk about that feeling part. You're making me feel disrespected when you're interrupting me. And I've noticed narcissists do this a lot. They'll bring up this obscure topic, this obscure thing to get under your skin. And the moment you start talking, they're going to cut you off. If they cut you off, there's something I've learned in my speech class where be silent. Wait for the audience to come back to you. Don't talk. Stop, stare, give no emotions. But if they continue to interrupt you and not listen to you, walk away. Walk away. This is not the time for a conversation. When you're ready to treat me as an equal human being, as an equal individual, then we can talk. Then we can try and discuss things. Until then, learn some respect and walk away. That was your situation. Since you had a child, you went back multiple times. It's hard. When there's a child involved in it, it just feels like you have to, they make it feel like you have to stay together. Otherwise, it's all going to fall apart. And if you do separate, they make it feel like they're the ones always right, that you're hurting them in some way. They're upset to pay child support. They're upset to have anything taken away from them, right? They start using the children as pawns in their games or whatever. They might not even care about the kids, and that's where it's frustrating. That's where it's even more difficult. Like a lot of the tactics I'm bringing up are very like baseline, very simplistic. If there's just an acquaintance, a relationship, something you can walk out of. But once there are more deep attachments, it is difficult. And I know getting the legal system to pay attention to the red flags is such a process. And I know getting the legal system to pay attention to the red flags is such a process. I've seen other people on this app talking about their divorce processes with a narcissist, narcissistic exes, how they use the children, how they turn the children against them. And it is disgusting that there's the behavior that some people can show other people in the world, you know? They tell you they love you, they tell you that they care for you, they come back to you, and they're the ones that apologize and then don't make a change in behavior. Yep. And I feel like a lot of mothers end up having to do this, stay in a narcissistic relationship where there needs to be like financial income, there needs to be some sort of order, and that does sadly force you to stay in that relationship till the child is older to make their own decisions, right? And I feel like that's a whole, it's hard. It's not easy and it's not fair. That's good. Yeah, that too. Getting the courts to listen to visitation is just like, I've seen people struggle with it. I've seen some people do really well with it. But yeah, if there is visitation with a narcissistic parent, they don't care about the child. They care about the emotional disrespect they can do to you by using that child as a pawn. And that's the most heartbreaking thing, because you're spending your time protecting your child, protecting your loved one. And you have to see them go to this visitation no matter how long. It's hard, right? Showing proof of it, and not like, because the courts have this very like setback way of like, there's just a person complaining about XYZ, but if there is like clear signs of like hurt or damage, they need to be able to listen, they need to be able to see. And it's frustrating, because like, how do we do that, right? And depending what state you're in, will the courts even listen? Will they grant you what you're seeking? Will they grant protection of a child from a dangerous individual? They think that she said game. Yep. It's just a game that they play, and it's not fair, because these are human lives at jeopardy on many scopes. And that's the thing too. Managing expectations is the next point I have. Accepting that change is unlikely. Narcissists rarely change, especially if they do not see a problem with their behavior. Adjust your expectations and focus on how to manage the relationship rather than trying to fix them. We cannot fix narcissism, right? Later on, I'm going to get into the point of like what narcissism is and how it may develop in a person. And a lot of it stems from childhood, right? Some sort of neglect in childhood, emotional neglect in childhood. And that affects them. That turns them into what they are. The same way that a certain type of neglect might create an empath, because you're afraid and you have to learn how to sense the energy in a room when someone is upset, when someone is frustrated, when danger might be nearby. But accept that change is unlikely. If you are in a relationship with a narcissist thinking that they're going to change, no. Unless they're seeking active therapy and trying to change these things, it's not going to happen. This is built and hardwired into their mind like a computer. It's like a base program that runs. They're not even in control, right? Their brain has been wired into such a foundational place that they're like, this is how I have to act to get the reaction and energy that I need to feed off of to feel alive. You can't save them. We want to. We want to help everyone. We want to save the world. We want to help as many people as possible, and because we have the empathy to feel what others feel, and it drags us down. It hurts us. It makes us feel like we can save this person, and in the end, they're not choosing to save themselves, and they're hardwired this way to act like this. They have to choose themselves. They have to choose to change for themselves. And some of them, they're not. The ones that we deal with, they had gone to therapy, and it reached a point where the therapist is like, you have this disorder, and that disorder, and there is no current treatment for these things. It's so hardwired. With narcissistic personality disorder, you have to save yourself. You have to put yourself first. You have to protect yourself, protect those around you. You can't be around someone constantly dragging you down. You cannot be around someone that's constantly trying to get under your skin, because it turns into this cycle of like, you don't feel safe in the relationship, and then they might love bomb you and make you feel safe for a moment, and then your brain is like, this is what love is, this is what love I should be feeling, and then they take it away again and send you in another loop. There are many loops that they create to maintain control. They need to feel in control, and they need to feel empowered of something. And sadly, sometimes it is the empowerment by taking another's power away. And that often falls into empaths, that they want to take their power away. Part 6. Oh wait, I want to go back to one more point. Avoid relying on them emotionally. Since narcissists are not typically reliable when it comes to emotional support, it's important to seek this from other more supportive individuals in your life. You need your community, and narcissists will try and keep your community away from you. They will try and tell you that your friends are not great. They'll try and tell you, or even turn your friends against you in some way. They'll try and isolate you and take you away from the places of power you need to be. The next technique is known as the gray rock technique. Be boring and unengaging. The gray rock technique involves making yourself as uninteresting as possible to the narcissist. By not giving them emotional responses or attention, you remove the fuel they crave. And this is something that I've seen where there were a lot of really awful accusations made at our place of work from the narcissist this past weekend, and the narcissists deny it. They say they haven't done that. That they're not sending this energy anywhere. That they didn't send those messages. But since we're on this topic, why is this here? And they'll bring up an article. I don't know if a lot of you know. I came off this app because I was under a lot of hate and a lot of awful allegations from someone that wanted me to basically destroy my account. And that's why I stepped away. And now these narcissists are finding those articles and claiming them to be truth and reality and trying to use that as a way against us. And we're like, there's no actual proof to anything you're saying. There's no evidence to anything you're saying. Yeah, be boring. Be boring and unengaging. You don't want to feed them. You don't want to give them energy. You don't want to entertain the thoughts that they're bringing up, because normally it's from a thought that you had that you wanted to discuss with them, and they're like, I don't want to talk about that. How about you're an awful person and I want to talk about that? Keep interactions minimal. Provide short, neutral answers when engaging with them, which can prevent them from escalating conflicts or drawing you into drama. They want to stir things, right? They want to stir the pot. They want to create drama. They want to throw your entire life on a loop. Basically, they want to stir the pot. They want to create drama. They want to throw your entire life on a loop. Basically, anything they say, they want to make you feel like you're awful, that you're the worst person ever, that you're... Basically, anything they say, they want to make you feel like you're awful, that you're the worst person ever, that you're being accused of doing something bad when you're just existing, living your life. You haven't done anything bad, so tell them bye. Be boring. Don't feed them the energy. Be very monotone. Step all the way back and just be like, whatever. No problems, pickles. I'm going to try and post this live on the Starlight Alchemy Academy YouTube later, so that way you'll be able to check it out whenever need be. Thank you for joining. Thank you for all the comments. I hope you have a great day. Let's see. The next point I have... Avoid arguing or trying to prove your point. Do not engage in their reality. Narcissists often twist reality or deny facts to maintain control. Arguing with them can lead to gaslighting or confusion. Instead, state your truth calmly and walk away if necessary. So this is going back to, we need to keep interactions short and sweet. We don't want to feed them if necessary. So this is going back to, we need to keep interactions short and sweet. We don't want to feed them. We don't want to give them anything that's going to make them turn and try and gaslight us in one way or the other. Don't engage in their reality. Like I said, if you want, like, the best tactic I've seen is, like, if you have to engage, ask them questions, ask them clarifying questions. What made you feel this way? That's your perspective on that event. This is how I saw that event, and I'm sorry that you felt that way. Those are your emotions, and they're valid to feel. They want to be told that they're right, that they're superior, that they're the ones that were wronged. Stay factual and not emotional. Focus on the facts of any situation rather than how you feel about it. This can prevent them from exploiting your emotions. And this is where it's tricky too, where, like, you can say how you're feeling, like, say how you're feeling to them. You made me feel disrespected by acting in this way, and explain which way exactly. Everything that you can define and say about it. But if they say something to try and draw an emotional response from you, don't give it to them. Do not give it to them. Take a deep breath, take a step back, stare at them blankly. I find staring someone in their eyes blankly can be unnerving. And part 8 to the series, self-care and support. Prioritize your mental health. Dealing with a narcissist can be draining. Ensure you take time for self-care, whether it's through hobbies, exercise, or mindfulness practices. And I've seen that where, like, yes, if you've had an argument with a narcissist, if you've been engaged with a narcissist in one way or the other, you need to get that energy out of your system, out of the energetic body as fast as you can. Otherwise, it starts wearing down the body, wearing down the system a bit. And so it says through hobbies, through exercise, through mindfulness practices. If there's a game that helps you relieve stress, if you can just go for a run, lift weights, or be mindfulness or pranayama, breath practices, whatever it takes to come back to center is going to be important. Some people listen to loud, angry music, and that's okay. That's how we process the emotions. The music helps us feel what we're feeling. It helps us feel validated. Karaoke. Mindfulness practices is, I like it. It's hard to get into at times, but sitting there narrating what is happening in your mind, right? What am I thinking right now? Because if you've engaged with a narcissist, they've put your mind in this loop where it's going to constantly be spinning and spinning. You're thinking about the argument. You're thinking about what you should have said in the argument. You're thinking about what you're going to say next time in the argument. They want you in that state, and that puts you in a state of panic and fear. And they want you in that fear-based reality. You need to take a step back and say, I didn't do anything wrong. If they bring it up, next time I just have to take a step back. I have to limit the emotions I am putting into this conversation. Let's see. Seek external support. You want to talk to friends, family, or therapists who can provide perspective and emotional support. Support groups, especially for people dealing with narcissists, can also be valuable. Incredibly valuable. And you want to find those networks. You want to find those people. You want to find those places where you can talk about it and write about it and journal about it. They're your support system, and we need to lean into our support systems more. And if we don't have one right now, I know there's a lot of just groups online. I know Facebook has a ton of groups where you can go and express what's happening to you about narcissistic relationships, narcissistic friendships. You need that listening ear. You need that validation, because if it's just you and your own, the narcissist has said things in a way that can just send your mind spinning. Limit your dependence on a narcissist. Do not rely on them for validation or approval. Since narcissists often manipulate people's need for approval, it's crucial to cultivate self-validation and self-esteem independency. This is something that I've preached at the beginning, like the beginning of my spirit, a big part of my spiritual journey, self-affirmations, mirror affirmations. And you want to say it in different ways, right? You can use I statements. You can say, I am powerful, I am strong, I am amazing. You can also look at yourself in a mirror and say, you are amazing, you are powerful, you are brilliant, you are protected. And there is a magic and a shift in these words, right? Because as we grow up, we hear affirmations from our parents when they do compliment us that you did amazing today, right? And so if you look at yourself in the mirror, you are complimenting yourself the same way, just as you said, you are. Hey, welcome in. I missed you guys too. I'm glad to be back. Planning a few things that I want to work on finding my footing again, finding my courage again. But I do miss you all. Have a backup plan. If you are in a relationship, personal or professional, with a narcissist, ensure you have a plan in case the situation becomes toxic or unbearable. And I feel like if you can get out of a situation and you know you're with a narcissist and it's easy to walk away and don't even regret it. Put away the emotions, put away the ideas as like, oh, I spent so much time at this job, oh, I spent so much time in this relationship. If there are no physical attachments in that relationship and you are not in a place that you're happy and you feel like you're being abused in these psychological and physical ways, walk away, get out of it. Don't let these emotional mental strings or stories in your head hold you back. If you're in a toxic place, you walk. You get out of there. Consider detachment or ending the relationship. In extreme cases, the best course of action may be to distance yourself, limit contact, or end the relationship. Protecting your mental and emotional health should be a priority. And that's something that's always been at my core of what I want to teach people. Because many times I haven't done that. And I'll get into relationships where I want to stay and things that are just toxic and dangerous and negative to me. Because I think I have to save the person. I think I have to help the person. I think if I leave, what are they going to do without me? Right? You deserve to be happy. You deserve to feel happiness. You don't deserve to be treated the way that narcissists treat people. Seek the help. Seek the people that you need. Find yourself. And so those were, let me see if there's another one here. There's the last one. There's a number 11. Practicing compassionate detachment. Understand their limitations. Recognize that narcissists have deep-seated insecurities and psychological issues. While you shouldn't tolerate abusive behavior, understanding their limitations can help you remain emotionally detached without anger or resentment. We want to detach, right? We don't want to pour all of our energies into a narcissist because they will feed on us. They will feed on the energy and they will ruin us. We don't want that. Set boundaries, set space. And yeah, there's some people that were close friends and when they were in a really toxic situation, just every day having to tell them like, nope, you need to leave that situation. You need to leave that situation. You need to leave that situation. It became emotionally exhausting to be friends with those people, but I knew that they were good people at the end, but they had to make those choices. We have to make choices for what's right for us. And honestly, in the beginning, those of you that knew me from back in the day, I did Reiki and I learned Reiki because I wanted to help people, but I didn't want to take in all the energy from the world that I was already taking in. And like with Reiki, I found it as a way of being able to lift so much energy without being attached, and I felt like that was powerful, and I do miss that. And the day's gonna come where I'm gonna go back to that. And those that do miss Reiki or want to check out Reiki, check out my YouTube channel, Alchemy by Ken. Every month I try to post 1 or 2 videos up there for Reiki or meditation or something. I still want to help the world, but I have to do it in a way that's reasonable for me. Let's see. It's a lot longer than I thought it was. Let me see what this one was. Parental narcissism. This is the last part I'm going to go into, but I'm going to kind of go through it a little bit quickly. But this is kind of like that origin system for a narcissist. Narcissistic traits can develop as a result from a combination of genetic predispositions and environmental factors, particularly during childhood. Here are some of the influences in childhood that can contribute to the development of narcissism. One is excessive praise or over-evaluation, overindulgence. If a child is consistently told that they are exceptional or superior to others, they may develop an inflated sense of self-worth. Constant praise without a balanced perspective can make a child believe that they are inherently better than others. And that leads to that place where they need praise, right? They need to be praised in their relationships. They need to be emotionally fed. The second part is emotional neglect or lack of warmth. And I see this a lot. there is this emotional coldness. Children who grow up in environments where they do not receive warmth, affection, or validation may compensate by developing narcissistic traits. This lack of love and attention can lead to a need for external validation later in life, and that's what we see. We see them needing some sort of validation, needing to draw energy out from us, needing us to give them love, and that's not right to us. It's sad because this is a type of emotional abuse they experience in early developmental phases of their life, and ever since that, it ripples throughout the rest of their existence and ripples and bleeds into everyone else's life, and it is dangerous, toxic. They need therapy. They need to seek out the help that they need, but they need to understand that there is deficiencies in what they're experiencing in their reality. Hey, yep. Doing a small live right now, focusing a bit on narcissism, narcissistic traits, and protection against narcissism as a whole. I miss you guys. Inconsistent attention. Let me see. When parental affection is sporadic or conditional, an example, only given when the child excels or behaves in a way that pleases the parent. Children may develop a sense of insecurity that drives them to seek constant admiration from others. And yes, this is tied to narcissism, but I also see this a lot in empaths as well, where like we want that validation. We want that validation to be told that we're in the right, we're in the know, that we want our parents and loved ones to recognize us. And I don't think there's anything wrong in seeking recognition, but if we're doing it in a negative, toxic way, or if that's our driving force in life, and sadly that sometimes is a driving force in my life, it diminishes the human experience we're meant to be having. And I like doing these lives, I like talking about this stuff, because there's a bit of introspection that I think happens as well, where we kind of recognize our own flaws in a way, our own tendencies. And I don't think narcissists really have that mental capacity to understand that change can happen. Unrealistic expectations and pressure to achieve. Some parents place excessive pressure on their children to achieve or succeed, leading the child to link their self-worth to external accomplishments over time. This can result in a narcissistic need for success, admiration, and approval. Perfectionism. Growing up in a household where mistakes are not allowed, not tolerated, or where the child is expected to be perfect can lead to an inflated ego as a defense mechanism. Part 4. Parental narcissism or role models. Modeling narcissistic behaviors. Children raised by narcissistic parents or exposed to narcissistic role models may learn to adopt similar behaviors if they see parents or significant adults using manipulation, entitlement, or arrogance to get what they want. They may imitate these behaviors. And we see that a lot, right? As children, we mirror those around us, right? We play pretend. And the closest relationship we have is at the beginning is that with our parents. We see how they love, and then we internalize that as this is the way that I must love and be loved in the future. And there's many different ways to be loved, you know? Trauma or emotional abuse. Emotional abuse, children who are criticized, belittled, or emotionally abused may develop narcissistic traits as a defense mechanism. The constant need for admiration can be an attempt to mask deep-seated feelings of worthlessness or inadequacy. Overcompensation for insecurity. Traumatic experiences such as bullying, neglect, or emotional abuse can cause a child to overcompensate by developing a grandiose self-image to protect themselves from vulnerability or shame. Let me see, what's the next one? Lack of boundaries, right? Enmeshed parenting. In some cases, children are not allowed to develop a sense of self because their parents are overly involved in their lives, treating them as an extension of themselves. This can blur the lines between the child's identity and their parents, leading to narcissistic traits. The inability to develop autonomy. If a child is not allowed to establish independence, they may develop a false sense of superiority to assert control and create a sense of individuality. inconsistent discipline, over permissiveness. Parents who do not set clear rules or consequences for their child's behavior may foster a sense of entitlement. Without learning about boundaries and consequence, a child may grow up believing that they can act however they please without facing repercussions. And that's something my girlfriend deals with her ex, where they think they can say whatever they want, do whatever they want, and they're right. Even if an entire court system tells them that they're wrong, they will always believe that they're in the right. No matter how many people tell them they're doing the wrong thing, they don't want to hear that. They don't believe that. They think that the system's manipulating, that the system has manipulated them. Erratic discipline, inconsistent or unpredictable responses from caregivers. Alternating between indulgence or harshness can create confusion in the child, leading them to seek control and admiration from others to feel secure. Hello, hey Flutter, how's it going? Let's see. Conditional love based on performance. If a child feels that their parents' love is dependent on their achievements, example, grades, sports performance, looks, they may develop a sense of need to maintain a perfect image and demand constant admiration. This can lead to narcissistic behaviors later in life, as they can try to replicate the approval they received only when excelling. Siblings and family dynamics can also affect them. There's the golden child versus scapegoat dynamic. In families where one child is constantly favored, the golden child, the other are less valued, the favored child may develop narcissistic tendencies. This can occur if the child is raised to believe that they are inherently more important or deserving than their sibling. Parental favoritism, being the focus of parental alienation, often to the detriment of the other siblings, can create an inflated sense of self and need for special treatment. Lack of empathy, the lack of empathic development, failure to teach empathy. Empathy is typically learned through emotional connections with caregivers and being taught how to recognize and respond to the feelings of others. If empathy is not nurtured in childhood, the child may fail to develop a sense of concern for others, which is a hallmark of narcissism, right? They cannot feel empathy. They do not feel empathy. They do not feel like they're doing anything wrong, even if the entire world tells them that they're wrong, because they had those moments in their life where they were the golden child in some way, right? Or they were put into a place where this is the bubble around their mind and no one else is right. Their feelings and emotions is the only thing that exists in this reality. And the last part I have, just kind of wrapping everything up, is unresolved childhood insecurity, feelings of inadequacy, despite outward displays of grandiosity. Many narcissists harbor deep-seated feelings of insecurity, shame, or inadequacy rooted in childhood. They may overcompensate for these feelings by inflating their self-worth and seeking admiration to validate themselves.